That was a long one.
Thanks for feeling the energy.
Good. I'm glad. It's morning.
Yes.
We're doing an early morning record. We've got some energy. We're all good. How are you?
I'm really good.
Good. I'm glad.
I'm excited to talk about this movie.
Me too.
My name's Nick. I don't think we
didn't do that. This is the Bottom of the Stream movie show. My name is Adam.
Yeah, we're from the world famous Bottom of the Stream podcast.
Yes.
And we're talking this week about a movie called Body Cam.
Body Cam, indeed.
Which is like both a cop crime procedural and also a ghosty horror film at the same time.
Yeah, it's two films in one.
Yeah.
Getting double bang for your buck here.
You sure are.
So Body Cam was released in 2020. It is a 15. It runs for 1 hour and 36 minutes. Currently rated at 5.3 on IMDb.
Yeah.
Quite high. Middle.
Do you know what? That's not a bad score, is it?
No, not for what we've done recently this season. No, it's not. This film stars, in its lead role, Mary J. Blige.
Sure.
She plays a character called Renee Lamito Smith. She's a singer. She's done other acting. She's in a Netflix original called Mudbound, which apparently is really good. I've never seen. She's mainly a singer, I think.
She is part of a developing theme the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We've had musicians starring in movies.
That's true, we have.
A couple of weeks ago we had 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Now we've got Mary J. Blige.
Yeah, who's going to be next?
I don't know.
Cliff Richard.
Oh, God.
Also stars...
I nearly made a joke then, and then I thought, no, we might get sued.
Yeah, don't get sued by Cliff Richard. He's got a history. He loves it. Also stars a guy called Nat Wolff. He plays Danny Hollidge.
Why do I know the name? I know the name, I didn't recognise the face.
He's most famous, he's in Paper Towns.
Right.
Which is a teeny film that came out a few years ago.
Okay.
He's also in the Stand TV show that was made.
That may be where I know.
That might be where you know
the name
from. We liked The Stand at the time. We don't like it so much now because Amber Heard's in it. And it's not a very good adaptation of the book. But
I think it's too difficult to adapt. I don't know if anything can be a good adaptation of that book.
You can't adapt The Stand. It's not possible, I don't think. Finally, this film stars David Zayas. He plays Sergeant Kesper. He's most famous for being in Dexter. I once went out on New Year's Eve dressed as him.
Yes, I forgot about that. He's very famous for Dexter, very famous for Oz as well.
Yes,
I would say.
Yeah.
And he's also been in hundreds of movies that if you've not watched either of those shows, he's probably one of those faces that you'll go, oh yeah.
Oh, it's that dude.
I know that guy.
Absolutely.
I totally forgot that you dressed up with him as him.
We used to go into
for
New Year's Eve used to be a big fancy dress thing in this town.
Yeah.
And one year it was a TV and film theme we did, I think.
Yeah.
So I just went as Batista from Dexter. I will find a picture. I'll put it in the Discord because I think I did really well.
Brilliant.
I've got his autograph on the wall in here somewhere as well. Up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, big Dexter fan. He's in the new series as well.
Cool.
The New Blood. So yeah, written by a guy called Nicholas McCarthy. He has featured on this show before.
Oh, interesting.
Not for writing a full film.
Okay.
He has a writing credit on Holidays.
Oh,
the anthology thing that we did. I don't know which one he wrote.
Yeah.
But he wrote one of them.
Okay. Well, a couple of them were all right.
Yes. Most famously, he wrote The Pact, which was a horror film that came out a few years ago.
Right.
Second writer credited on this is Richard Rydell. He doesn't have any other credits on IMDb other than this.
Okay.
So I assume he was just helping Nicholas McCarthy. Directed by a guy called Malik Vitthal. He hasn't done many films, but he did do a Netflix original called Imperial Dreams a few years ago. I think 2014.
Okay.
I've not seen it or heard of it. I have now added it to the long list because I hadn't seen it or heard of it.
Fine.
Do you have a one-word review of Body Cam?
Cam girl.
Okay, that might give the wrong impression of what this film is, but that's fine.
But it's not inaccurate.
Not inaccurate. Inaccurate, no.
I read a little bit on this movie after I'd watched it.
Okay.
And that it was actually due a cinema release.
Oh, was it really?
In 2019.
Right.
And it
Didn't
was pulled by Paramount.
Oh, right.
And went straight to on demand instead.
Interesting.
It was actually in the early days of the pandemic, moved to an on demand release.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Which is interesting.
I can't imagine this getting a cinema release, if I'm honest.
It doesn't feel
very
cinematic.
No. It feels like a straight to DVD movie.
And it's maybe I'm kind of doing a disservice because, well, we'll get into her performance as we talk about this movie. But when you see a movie led by Mary J. Blige, that screams straight to video, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Straight
it does
to DVD.
indeed. I mean, there are some things about this film that are done really well.
I will say this film aims high.
Yeah, it does. It has a story to tell.
It's again from the synopsis last week. I always try to go to these knowing as little as possible.
Yeah,
I thought we are getting a standard ghosty, ghost spirits chase cops.
It's a very bland synopsis until the word supernatural comes into it right at the end, and you're like, okay, that's interesting.
But I was not expecting the social, political commentary side of this movie.
There's a social commentary definitely to this film.
So let's get at it.
Let's get at it indeed. Where does this film start, Nick?
It's the news.
Bottom of the stream trope. A news report starts.
In fact, this movie both opens and closes with the news.
It does indeed.
Which is a lovely bookend. And we see on the news that a police officer has been found not guilty of shooting an unarmed black man.
Yeah.
And straight away, I'm like, interesting.
Here we go.
We're going to do a lot with this, aren't we, this movie?
Yeah.
There's protests kicking off on the street.
There's rioting in the streets.
And look, one of the good things about this movie is that instantly you're thinking, okay, we're very present day. You know, this is current. This you could do some really interesting things with what you're trying to say with this movie.
Yeah. And
now I'm like, I can't wait to see if they can pull some of this off.
Absolutely.
Because you've got to be quite nuanced.
Yeah.
And that's not a feature we see in a lot of the movies that we watch on this show.
Telling this story and telling those social commentaries from the point of view of a cop is not an easy thing to do.
No, not at all.
That's what they're trying to do here. Public opinion of the police is at an all-time low.
I really liked this first scene.
Yeah.
So this cop walks into a cafe. The cafe is, I presume, in a minority type neighborhood.
Yeah.
The couple running the cafe are black.
Yeah.
The cop has to ask like 3 times to get a drink.
Yeah, they just ignore it. They're watching this news report on the TV and they just ignore it.
The guy behind the bar at the cafe says, "You're not welcome here today."
Yeah.
And it piques my interest straight away.
He gave him the coffee, but he wouldn't accept his money for it.
Yeah.
He was like, your money's not welcome here. And the cop looks a bit devastated by that.
Yeah, he does.
And he's like, okay, fine. It's obviously the cafe he goes in all the time.
Yeah.
But he walks out, he leaves, he doesn't cause any scene. And he goes on parole.
Patrol?
Patrol, not parole. Goes on parole. Goes on patrol. He's on his own. He's got no partner for some reason, and he's just like driving around the town trying to make sure everything's in order.
It's fucking yeeting it down outside, isn't it?
It's raining heavily. I think is how you would describe it. And he sees either a mysterious-looking van. So he follows it basically.
Yeah.
He notices one of the headlights is out, or the tail lights out. So he puts on his blues and twos, pulls the van over. Interestingly, when he gets out of the car, he turns on his body cam. We see this a lot. The word body cam is in the title of the film.
And
they're all wearing them at all.
Yeah, and we switch now between like the cinematic view.
Yeah. And the body cam view. And also the dash cam view of his car. And he pulls over this van. Why the cops always touch the back end of a car? Have you noticed? I don't know why they do it. They always touch the back light as they walk past it.
No.
They do. It's highlighted a good few times in this film. Every time they walk past the car, they touch the rear tail light or the back of the car.
I was just trying.
There must be a reason for it because it's highlighted a few times. I just spotted it. Don't know why. Nobody responds from inside this car. So he gets a bit shouty, starts shouting at the car.
Yeah, he shines his flashlight in there. It looked like there was like a bloody rag on the seat or something.
Yeah, something was on the seat. So he starts shouting at the car. He pulls his gun. Still nobody responds. And then a lady gets out of the driver's seat of this car.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it's a lady.
Yeah.
She's got like a poncho on.
It's a small diminutive figure wearing a
hooded
figure.
Rain slicker type thing.
She still doesn't respond to him. She just stands looking at him.
Yeah.
It's quite disturbing to start with, to be fair. And then something even more disturbing happens because he just suddenly, this cop, gets thrown up into the air.
Gets pulled off, doesn't he?
He's so vulgar, Nick. He just
Through the air, I mean.
Yeah, he gets pulled through the air all of a sudden, and you get it from his body cam perspective.
Yeah.
Because I was writing as well, I was like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Because I didn't get it, so I rewound. I had to watch that bit twice.
Same.
Because I was like, it happens so quick. He's just all of a sudden just in the air, looking, his body cam's looking down at the ground. And then the film cuts away at that point, and we get the words 12 hours earlier on the screen. And we go into a interview. There's some sort of interview going on. There's a different cop interviewing a lady cop who is Renee, is Mary J. Blige's character. This is the first time we meet her. And he's basically checking that she's fit to go back to work.
Yes.
She's been away from work. He says to her, "Have you moved on from your son's death?"
Yeah.
So she's been off work because her son's died. We do find out how, but not at this point. She responds with, "I need to work," so he recommends her return to active duty on a night shift.
Yeah.
That's how that scene ends.
Now, can I make my first general nitpick?
Yes. Nitpick. Oh, that could be our new thing. We've got a new feature, everybody. Nitpicks.
I don't know if it is because we obviously watch a lot of movies at the bottom of the stream.
Yeah.
That is our whole reason for being here. And we see a lot of tropes repeating themselves.
We do.
I feel, especially for female characters, the whole sort of, I've got a dead kid,
It does come up a lot.
feels overused. There are other things that could happen in your life, especially, sex aside, but for female characters, I feel like it's a real trope of I lost a child.
Yeah, I think you're right.
There's other stuff that can happen to someone to give them a trauma.
Yeah.
I just feel we see it loads.
We do see it. It needs it in this. This film's about dead children.
Yeah.
So that's the basis behind it. But you're right, we do see it a lot, and it is like the only thing that can traumatize a woman, apparently. So that's a good nitpick. Well done.
Thanks.
We cut from there to, we meet David Zayas, as Sergeant Hester Hester? I think that was his name. Hesker. We meet him for the first time. He's given a sergeant's briefing in the briefing room. This dude looks great in a cop uniform.
Yeah.
That's what I've written. He just oozes cop. I think he plays cops in everything.
Well, he was in Oz. He was a mafia boss. And he was great at that as well.
No, he's just great. He just looks great in a cop's uniform.
But this is like the sort of start of shift
Yeah.
briefing, isn't it? And
Yeah,
it's like, welcome back to Officer Lamento.
Yeah.
I will say as well, I
No,
struggled with
exactly
their
what
character
you're
name
saying.
because I kept thinking about the guy of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Pimento.
Yeah. So if I say Renee,
Yeah.
it's just to help me out.
Yeah, she's back. It's her first shift back on duty. It's
Yeah.
a night shift. The shift's just about to start. She's been partnered up with a rookie.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Dan Hollidge.
Danny Hollidge.
Yeah.
That's his name. It turns out he's not a complete rookie. It's just like...
He's in his first few months.
Yeah, he's been around the block a few times. Then they have some banter with the other guys. We meet some of the other cops.
Yeah.
They've left some boxing gloves on her steering wheel because she'd punched somebody. That's why
She punched a civilian.
That's why she'd been suspended.
Yeah.
So they'd left some boxing gloves on her steering wheel. That sort of, like cop banter.
Yeah. I've actually put in my notes, this is not bad so far.
So far, I'm in. So far, so good.
I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I really like this scene as well. So, because this is like...
Yeah, it was good.
It's almost spooky, but then it turns out not to be. So they're driving, they're on patrol. Why can't I say that properly? They're on patrol and it's nighttime, it's raining. And they spot a kid who's just like sitting in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Which is a bit mysterious. There's nobody else around.
He's just playing in the road.
Just playing in the road in the middle of the night in the rain. So they pull the car over, they get out, they head towards
This is not a affluent neighbourhood that they are currently driving through, by the way.
I think that's a fair way of saying it. They approach this kid, trying to get a response. He doesn't respond. That's a boy. And so they eventually start, like, not shouting, but like raising their voices, trying to get this kid's attention. And he just ignores them. And then people start coming out of houses.
Yeah.
And eventually there's a whole crowd scene around them. This kid's just, he is nothing weird's going on. He's just playing in the street.
Yeah.
And his mum comes running out and tells him to back away from the kid. These are all like African American people, and
I was saying you're
not welcome here. Your cop's not welcome here.
Yeah.
It's weird. Get away. Go away. And
Danny's starting to panic.
Danny's
visibly
panicking because he's feeling like this is a dangerous situation that we found ourselves in. Renee's not.
And she does manage to calm it down.
She does calm the situation down.
Back away.
She pulls Danny away.
Just looking for his welfare. Just
making sure he's okay. It's fine. We're not up to anything. So,
but I think it did a real good job of getting over the sort of the pressure of the situation and the atmosphere surrounding the city.
Yeah, and the relationship with the cops to the city. But she sorts the situation out. She manages to back Danny away. She gets him back to the car, and they leave. They just drive away.
Yeah.
It was a really tense
And
scene.
he says to her, you handled that really well.
Yeah, he compliments her.
I'm glad I'm sort of out with you.
With you guys. Then they got a call on their radio saying that another cop car is not responding to calls. So can the closest person, go and investigate? And they are the closest person. Yeah. They pull up behind this car. Now, this is the car that was pulled over in the road earlier that we're
back to we've caught up in time.
Yes, we have.
We are
12 hours has passed.
Yeah.
And the car's abandoned. And Renee also notices that all the streetlights are out. Yeah. So it's pretty dark. Car's abandoned. It's just parked in the road. There's nothing else around it. The car also has 4 flat tyres.
Yes.
Which she notices straight away. And then when she gets around the front of the car, there's loads of blood just all over the car, on the bonnet, on the pavement.
Yeah, on pavement, on the road.
Bumper. And some teeth are also on the bonnet of the car.
Oh, that's always grisly, man.
Teeth are never good. When teeth are not in her body, it's never a good thing to see, is it? She gets into the car. She goes and has a look, see if she can figure out what's going on.
She gets into the cop's car.
Yeah. And she checks out the dash cam footage.
Yeah.
She plugs her laptop in, sees what's on the dash cam. She
witnesses the pull over.
Pull over. That's
Stop.
A jumper. What do they call it? Stop and
the traffic stop.
Stop and search, or whatever they call it. Traffic stop. She witnesses that the camera's all glitchy and cutting out all the time, but she does get to see it. But it cuts out just before he was pulled off into the sky.
Yeah,
we don't see that, and then it cuts back in just as he lands face first on the bonnet of the car.
Grisly.
Out of nowhere, it is really grisly. The teeth go flying,
and he's taken again.
Flying. And then he's still alive at this point. He crawls towards the car, more towards the dash cam, and then he gets pulled backwards again. Yeah. And she sees all that through this dash cam footage. And then she heads in that kind of direction to where he got pulled off.
Yeah, they partner up again, don't they?
Yeah.
And they sort of search together.
Yeah, so they head into this field in this side of the road area, and eventually they find his body.
Yeah.
On a fence, impaled on a fence.
Yeah.
That's quite high. We would never have been able to get him up there on his own.
Sure.
And they call in the backup because there's a dead cop, so they have to call in the backup. And then we cut away, and there's loads of ambulances and loads more cop cars there, and there's a whole crime scene. There's a crime scene situation going off. Kesper turns up. I'm not going to get that. The sergeant turns up. David Zayas' character turns up. He's talking to her. He's trying to get the story out of Renee of what she's seen. She's explaining what she saw in the dash cam footage.
I was a bit confused here because I don't know if it was me or if the movie did not do a good job. Was she saying there was like a forensics lady? Was she saying there was nothing on the dash cam?
Yeah, she did say exactly that. The dash cam and the body cam, his body cam, were both completely blank.
Yeah,
there was no footage on there.
Yet they played for
Renee.
Renee's
the only person that ever seen it.
The reason I got that was more from the synopsis you read out last week's episode.
Yeah, because it said in
the synopsis says
plays for her.
Yeah, the footage will only play for her. They didn't make a big thing of that in this.
No, they didn't.
It was mentioned as a line here.
Yeah, it's mentioned a couple of times. Yeah, they don't make a big thing of it. But she saw this footage, and now the forensics people are saying this footage.
She doesn't seem that freaked out by it either.
No, that's fair. It's weird. But this footage doesn't exist, even though she claims to have seen it. They don't believe her.
Yeah,
they think she's making something up
because she's unreliable because she hit that guy.
Yeah, so
it's her first night back or whatever.
Yeah, so we find out more about this now because her and Danny get sent home, and so they go for a drink in a bar. And she explains to me what's happened. So she's like, "I hit this guy. Now everyone's waiting for me to fuck up again."
Yeah.
That's why I was took off the streets for 8 months. So it's been 8 months since she's been off the street.
And she tells him, I hit this guy because he was racist to me.
Yeah.
And Danny's like, well, we know, it sounds like he fucking deserved it.
Yeah.
And then she says, "My kid's dead as well. He
Yeah.
drowned in the neighbour's pool."
Yeah, the kid drowned in the neighbour's pool. We don't really understand the timeline of
No.
when each of these things happened,
No.
but that's the reason why she's been off the road for so long. And then she goes home. She tells her husband about her dead cop friend.
Yeah.
Because we didn't mention that they used to be partners, the guy who's been killed and Renee. And her husband tells her to leave it. He's like, "You're too close to this. It's too much. We've just been through this.
First day back.
My first day back. Your old partner's died, and you've just been through this incredibly traumatic thing with your son." So he tells her to take a step back. She's too close to it. But she says, "I've got to do something. I've got to. If I can solve this, then that might make my brain better."
If this was a properly good film, would we have had, or should we have had more there? But of her home.
Her home life. Her husband's like a bit part character, isn't he?
Yeah, and I feel like we get real edited highlights of a longer conversation of them.
That's fair.
Or of him trying to help her or support her.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. I'm almost kind of like, would it have been better to not have the husband character at all?
Yeah.
Because then I wouldn't have that question in my mind of, I don't think this is how real people would talk.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think if the whole idea of her being alone is the basis of this film. It's like she's got nobody she can confide in, so she needs to get this case solved.
Yeah.
So if she was genuinely alone, it probably would be better.
Possibly, yeah. Okay.
He only comes up twice. I think he's only got 2 scenes. I think. That night she has a dream, and she's basically dreaming of this footage that she's seen.
Yeah, it's like playing back in her head, isn't it?
Yeah, this bit was a stretch for me. I didn't really enjoy this bit. And she notices on the leg of the lady that was pulled over is a cross.
Yeah.
And she instantly recognises that as the logo for a hospital that her son was in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a cross.
Yeah, it's a logo.
It's a logo
for the hospital. Yeah. But it's a bit of a jaggedy cross, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then she instantly gets like... she's got like a baby book, hasn't she, of her son?
Yeah.
And the cross is right there on the front of the book.
Because
it was like issued by
where her son was born in this same hospital. And then so she goes on this hospital's website and looks at the staff page.
Yeah.
Finds a woman who's quite kind of short and matches the description, and just goes, "Well, that must be the woman that he pulled over in the footage."
Yeah, and gets a background check.
I feel like there's a neater way to do that. That it just felt like that's a real stretch to go from a cross that you remember in a dream to a hospital logo to a hospital website to find a picture of this random nurse who just happens to be on this website.
I feel like the description they had of what it was of this woman would be like, there's loads of people who work at any given hospital that could match that.
Yeah, exactly. There's not like one nurse at a hospital, is there? Yeah, it felt a real stretch for me, that one.
Yeah, it's like, the police work's done in 5 seconds in this movie.
It's like, I don't know if I can forgive it for it, if I'm honest. Anyway, she finds an address. She finds an address out. There's a convoluted way how she does it, but she finds an address out for this nurse, and she goes to the house.
Yeah, with Danny.
With Danny.
Yeah,
they're basically starting to do their own detective work now, and the house is abandoned.
Yeah, it's got like an eviction notice on it.
It's
been padlocked,
fencing up all around it, and it looks like nobody's been there for a very long time. But just as they're looking through the gate, they hear some movement inside.
Yeah.
So they try and get in. They can't get in the front because it's all boarded up. So they go around the side. Handily, the door's open.
Yes.
They go and start exploring around this house.
Yeah, and they find newspaper clippings, documents. This lady also appears to have lost a child.
Yes.
And there's loads of like prescription pills dotted around all this sort of stuff. Isn't there?
Lots of pictures of the same kid in one room, all hanging from the walls and the ceilings, and there is somebody inside. We see a figure in the background. They don't see it at this point, but we see it. There's like a figure in the background. Apparently it smells in there quite bad. Danny's like retching all the way through this scene. There's no power. There's no lights. It's a very creepy house, to be fair.
Yeah, I quite liked the scene of them just searching.
Yeah,
because it was quite clear that
it was very random. There's like Danny pulls open a drawer at one point. There's just loads of bouncy balls in there.
Yeah,
like loads of them.
Yeah.
Nobody knows why.
And then the next one's full of cockroaches.
Yeah, he goes upstairs and he opens the drawer and it's just full of cockroaches which attack him. There's origami birds everywhere in one room, like thousands of them all hanging from the ceiling. It was just all really weird. Danny freaks out when he finds the drawer of cockroaches and he leaves. He's like, he radios Renee. He's like, I'm outside. come out to me whenever you want, but I'm not going back in that fucking creepy house. She tries to get out and a door slams in her face.
Yes.
And she spots a figure at the end of a corridor.
Well, before that, she's looking through some wardrobes.
Yeah.
And she pulls some clothes aside and stuff. No dice. And then the camera pans down to the floor.
Yeah.
In the wardrobe. And there's a little hatch.
Yeah.
And the hatch opens and a hand, slams out. That was...
weird. I'd forgotten all about that.
It was
I
cool.
didn't write that bit down,
but it was like, oh, where's that come from?
Yeah.
Because there's only like a tiny little trap door. But presumably this woman was living under the
floors.
Under the floors, yeah.
Randomly. No, I hadn't. I've not even written that bit down, but I do remember it. So she's trying to get through this door that's just slammed in her face to get out. And there's this ghostly figure at the other end of the corridor.
Yeah.
And then it's right next to her.
Yeah, over her shoulder.
Looking over her shoulder. But does she see it?
I've put a ghost kind of attacks her.
Yeah, but it's almost like she never mentions it. And she's not freaked out when she gets outside.
No.
But it was really close to her. So whether she's seen it or not, I don't know.
And I don't know if it was a poor edit.
Yeah.
Or if it was a change of script or whatever. But yeah, she doesn't reference it, you're right.
She doesn't reference it. It vanishes right next to her and eventually she gets out. She leaves. Danny's still outside. He's all spooked. So they leave. We cut away. And then we move into what is possibly the best scene in the film.
Yeah, it's easily. It's the best bit of this movie.
I'm glad you agree. The van pulls up outside a supermarket,
yep.
like a small American mini-mart type
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
Absolutely. It's the van that we met earlier. The lady gets out. She walks past these
Still wearing a poncho
thing. She walks past these two hoodlums outside, almost like Jay and Silent Bob hanging down outside. And she goes inside. They're a bit more dangerous than Jay and Silent Bob. They what the fuck was that woman? What was she looking at? So she goes in. She starts doing some shopping.
Yeah.
They come in. They start causing a bit of a disturbance.
Yeah, they're like knocking stuff off the shelves, giving the shopkeep
blip.
Yeah.
They're on like Instagram Live or Facebook Live or something. They're streaming live.
Like, you can't do anything to us.
Yeah, we're filming. We're live. Two cops then pull up outside.
They're passing, and they actually do proper good policing.
Yeah, because they spot this van.
They're like, oh, that's that van that we're supposed to be on the lookout for.
Because it killed our mate the other day. So
let's go and have a look.
They get out. They go and investigate. They go and have a look at the van. Nobody there, so they go into the shop. As soon as they walk into the shop, the lights start flickering.
Yeah.
And they
ask one of the hoodlums, "Is that your van?"
Yeah. And they get him down on the floor because he's like,
yeah. It's
becoming a situation already. Yeah. The guns are drawn straight away. One dude then freaks out. He grabs the lady from the van.
They're at the back of the
They're at the back of the shop. He grabs her on the throat,
like points
the gun at her. So he's got like a hostage now. And the cops are screaming like, put your guns down, put your guns down. It's a whole thing kicking off. It's quite a big scene. And then out of nowhere, this dude at the back of the shop just shoots the lady cop
right in the neck.
Right in the neck.
It's really like gurgly and
so she hits the deck and there's blood spurting everywhere. She's down, and then suddenly he's obviously let go of the lady at this point. He gets lifted up into the air.
Yeah, the light's gone out.
Yeah, and he's like floating now in midair. So he starts letting his gun off all over the place. It's like shooting up the place. The lady cop is dead. We find out at this point, and then the dude just vanishes. He's just dropped out of sight. And then a ghost appears behind the man cops.
Yeah.
I don't know these two cops' names, so it's lady cop and man cop. A ghost appears behind him, and then all of a sudden there's a plastic bag over his head, which was quite like disturbing. Yeah. He's like trying to grab at this bag to get out. And then he starts lifting up in the air.
Yeah, but the cop gets the plastic bag off his head, and he starts, shooting the place up.
So he starts shooting the place up, and then all of a sudden he gets thrown across the store by nothing. And it's all kicking off inside. So everybody's down now. The shopkeeper vanished. I don't know where he went. Yeah, but everybody else is down. The lady's still in. The lady's gone as well. And then Rennie and Danny turn up.
Yeah.
Because they've had a call, obviously, to go and assist. They head inside. After all this is finished, they see the van. Head inside. They find all these bodies. So they basically find Lady Cop first.
Yep.
Then they find some of the hoodlums. One of the hoodlums is still alive. He grabs Renee's leg. But she doesn't help him in any way. She just pulls his hand off and walks away. And then they find the man cop. He's also dead.
Teeth everywhere.
There's teeth all over the floor. There's blood all over the floor. There's bullet holes everywhere.
The hoodlum that grabs Lamento, the makeup on him was quite good. He had like half his face off.
Yeah. He must have caught one of the bullet.
Yeah. Yeah, they find the second cop dead.
Yep, his teeth are all over the shop as well. I thought it was a really good scene. There was a lot going on. It was really, really, really good.
It was really gory as well.
Yeah.
More so than anything else in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, there was a lot of blood flying around and gore going on.
But again, it wasn't...
It was our first real horror scene, though, wasn't it? There was ghosts.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is, like, even when you get to the climactic scene at the end, they decided that's not where we're putting our gore.
Yeah, they back away from the gore.
They were different, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
I just think that's an interesting directorial choice.
No, you've said that. You're right, they were very different.
Yeah.
But we'll get to the end. But it was our first real scene of horror. It's the first time we really see this ghostly figure.
Yeah.
It's the first time we see people getting thrown around and killed by it. Renee heads to the back in this shop and decides she's going to watch the security camera footage.
I think she was following a trail trying to see where this lady was. Yeah, because there's a lady escaped out the back of the shop, basically. And
she spots the security camera footage. So she watches that, but she watches it alone again.
Yeah.
Which I thought, well, somebody called you a liar last time you watched footage on your own. You'd probably call Danny in. But she didn't. She watched it alone. She sees pretty much everything that happened.
Yeah, she sees that this lady was there. She was taken hostage.
Yeah.
And then it all
kicked off. She sees people flying through the air and that sort of thing. But it does keep cutting out. The lights keep going out. The cameras keep going out. Again, the crime scene happens. There's ambulances. There's cops everywhere out the front. And this same forensic lady turns up again. And
she says the cameras were dummies.
Yeah, there's not any real cameras in the store.
Yeah, because they don't record.
Yeah, the cards are all blank and the cameras are not real. So, what she doesn't ask Renee why she keeps lying about seeing footage, but there's definitely the implication of why is Renee lying about seeing all this footage
again. And I think a better movie does more with that.
Yeah, you need to do more with that. I think it's the one weak point in this film, or one of the weak points in this film. Renee reveals to Danny at this point that she's stolen a phone from the crime scene.
Yeah.
She's got one of the hoodlums' phones that was
Instagram Live
or Facebook Live, whatever they were doing. He freaks out and
he's like, you cannot take evidence. You've crossed the line.
Yeah, he's like,
I'm out.
I'm done. I can't be with you
don't
anymore.
involve me in
I'm
this.
a rookie. This is my first year on the job. You're going to ruin my career. So Renee heads over to the mortuary. She meets this mortician guy.
First she goes to see a church pastor.
Oh yeah, I left that bit out.
Because it was his van.
Did she do that first?
Oh no, she doesn't go to see him now. She finds out about it now. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't think that was yet.
Yeah, so they find out that the van belongs to a church
pastor. Yeah,
that was the other thing I was going to say. So in this sort of crime scene gathering in the car park, no one seems that bothered about how horrific these murders are.
No,
like we've been through all that gore and it's literally like, oh, there's just been a.
Yeah, it's like, there's some gangbanging. Because
they
put it down to the two guys shooting up the cops, and it's like, these guys have got half their faces off,
gutted and
smashed through the
again,
shelves in the stores. And, there wasn't enough of a reaction, was there? She heads over to the mortuary to talk to the mortician about these dead bodies.
Yeah.
Every time you see a mortician in a film, they're always the same character, aren't they? It's just like goofy, geeky nerd of a guy who is worried about his job. I'll do you a favour, but I'm worried about my job. It's exactly that guy. So eventually she talks him into letting her see the bodies, and she wants to see the bodies because she wants to get into this phone. Yeah. So she needs the thumbprint.
Yeah.
So she does. She tries one. It doesn't work. So it's obviously not his phone. She goes to the next guy, gets in. And then when she gets in, I thought there was a neat touch where she goes to the settings and turns the fingerprint recognition off.
Yeah, because for all the complaints we made about this film, this doesn't feel like the sort of film that would go to that detail.
It went into that sort of level of detail. Because I was like, what's she doing in the settings? And then she turned the fingerprint recognition off so she could get in again.
But no, I'm all for it.
Same.
Because I would exactly have that question.
Because it would have been my next question. Because the next time she goes home now and she's watching this footage on this phone, I'm like, well, how have you got back in the phone? So I like that she's.
But it doesn't line up that they chose to include that detail, but missed out some of that stuff.
From the major detail, so she takes the phone home. She puts it on the TV, and there's one frame in this video of this guy, and you can see the ghost in the background. There's like one split-second frame where you can actually see this ghost in the background.
It's behind him, and then it's gone.
Yeah. Cut back to work, and Sarge Hesper, whatever he's called, is doing another big speech. He's doing like his start of the day speech again.
Yeah, he's like, right, it's a big day today.
Yeah.
We've got all this going on. Obviously, the atmosphere out there in the city is terrible.
Yeah.
because of everything that's happened recently. Also, it's the wake for everyone who died.
Yeah, we're going to have one big wake for all these 3 cops that we've killed so far.
Yeah.
Not one for one. We're going to have one big one. So he's like, make sure that you go to this wake. I expect to see all of you there. And then we cut straight there. We go straight from that scene to the wake. Everybody is there. They're all in their like posh cop uniforms. I guess they have like special dressed uniforms for this sort of thing. But Danny is drunk.
Yes.
In the bad way. He used to be. We find out that he used to be an alcoholic. And he's clean.
Yeah, problems before.
He's had problems with drink before, but he is now drunk. And he says, "I wasn't ready for any of this shit." To Renee, that was his line. She basically says to him, You've got to help me out. Yeah. You're my partner, but you need to stop drinking."
She's go home. She's like, look. Yeah. I think there's obviously something weird going on here. And
something's not quite right.
Please, I need your help.
I need your help, but you've got to stop drinking.
That came out of nowhere. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I'm an alcoholic. It wasn't hinted at before, was it? And,
I really didn't like this next scene either. So later on, Renee's at home. She gets a call from somebody on her phone. On like a video call.
Yeah.
And when she answers it, the video is pointing at her house.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, that's weird. So she goes outside. Then there's a knock on the door. So she goes outside. There's nobody there. There's just a blue light in the street.
Yeah.
So the street's all lit up blue. And when she walks towards that light, she sees her son standing there in this light.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on here? It's a bit weird. And then she gets right up close to him and then he just screams in her face because it's a jump scene. It's all this is a jump scene because then she wakes up and it turns out to be a dream.
Yeah,
it's a completely
padding.
It's a jump scene for the sake of doing a jump scene. It's one jump scene in the film. There's not many, but just like it's a horror film, we have to put a jump scene in there. I really didn't like it. Next day, again, they're on patrol with Danny and Renee. He says, "Look, people are starting to talk about you, and I'm really scared for you and your job because people are thinking that you're not quite right." Then she says, "Look, I need you. I'm not quite right. Something weird is going on, but I need you." She reiterates the fact that I need you to be here for me. This is the point now where she goes to see the pastor.
But she didn't want help from her husband.
No, she's not told him anything about it.
Because he says to her, "Oh, maybe we should go on holiday."
Yeah.
Which fair enough. Come on, read the room, man. But. And she says to him, "Oh, I feel like there's a different reality that only I can see." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Let's pull on that thread a bit."
Yeah, no, let's not. So she goes to this church to see this pastor who she finds out owns this van. Who she earlier found out owned this van. And she asks him about this nurse. The nurse is called Tanisha. I think this is the first time we find her name. And she asks him if he knows her.
Also, again. How has not a detective gone and already spoke to this guy?
Yeah.
She's just a
patrol cop.
Yeah.
And nobody seems to be investigating the murder of this cop.
No, exactly.
Or the cop that died at the beginning. Nobody's investigating that.
Yeah. Again, there's a whole potential subplot there of like the actual detective detecting.
Yeah.
And being like, in the way. Stay the fuck off our case.
Yeah. But there isn't any of that.
But there's none of that.
This pastor's surprised that somebody's come to talk to him. But he says, Tanisha used to come here. She used to come here with her kid. Her kid was deaf.
But mad smart.
I've written that as well. He was 14, but he used to do a lot of volunteering work. He was
a great kid.
Great kid, help out in the community.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, he was killed in a random shooting a while back. And she kind of lost the plot a little bit.
Yeah.
As you would. So...
and Elemento says, "Have you got an address for her?"
Yeah,
I'd really like to talk to her.
He gave her the van.
Yeah.
He reported it's missing, but he'd given it to her. And she says, "Have you got an address?" He says, "Yeah, here's an address where you might find her, or you write something down." And it's like, she goes there straight away, and it's like I've written an old factory.
It's a flop house.
A what?
Flop house.
What's a flop house?
No, we've been doing this before.
Okay.
It's a place where...
flops go.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's like an
abandoned building full of like...
druggies and deadheads. But it is like an old factory, isn't it? It's not like a house. It's an old...
Yeah.
I think it said mill, but that doesn't sound right.
The old mill.
The old mill. So he goes there. There's a load of old druggies there. But then she finds a room that is full of origami birds.
Yes.
So she's like, well, this must be Tanisha's room because these are all in her house as well.
Again, there's a load more newspaper cuttings about DeMarco Brands.
Yes. So she finds out.
Kid.
Then she finds a box of paperwork in the bottom of like the wardrobe area. And when she opens that up, there's loads of pictures of cops.
Yeah.
And some of them are crossed out, and because they're dead. These are the 3 dead cops that have crossed out. But she's in one of the pictures.
She is.
Kesper's in one. Danny's in one.
Yep.
He's got pictures of all the cops that we've met so far in this film. And then she sees a camera, like a
it's a little webcam
CCTV webcam type thing. But again, that doesn't really come with anything either, because she leaves at that point. As soon as she sees that, she leaves. And then when she leaves, she calls Kesper. She's like, I've got some evidence here. I need to talk to you. But she gets his voicemail.
Then this bit confused me, because she calls Danny and says, I need your help.
Yeah.
Can you come and help me? And he says, yeah, I'll be there in an hour.
Yeah, because he was drunk.
Yeah.
Because he was like, he wanted to try and sober up her for an hour.
But then she goes to his house.
Yeah.
So did she realise he was drunk then? Or?
She must have.
Again, that wasn't very clearly.
No, 'cause she didn't give him an hour, I don't think.
No, could we literally cut to her outside his house?
Straight to his house, yeah. So she goes to his house. He's got a really nice house for a rookie cop.
Yeah, lovely.
Lovely house. Not as nice as hers.
That shower in that bathroom.
Yeah. It was a bit blood splattered, but yeah. She goes to his house. The door's open and he's not responding. She's shouting for him. He's not responding. So being a cop, she draws her gun because she's in a partner's house. But she does, unfortunately, she finds Danny in the shower, dead. He has a gunshot wound.
Yeah.
I've written shot himself, ?
Me too.
There doesn't appear to be a gun on the floor, but
that's a very good point.
Maybe he did. Anyway, she finds a suicide note saying, I'm sorry, Danny. That's all it says. Yep. And next to that is a USB stick in a baggie. So he's left her something. So she goes outside, heads outside to her car to plug this USB stick into her laptop, I guess. And she sees some footage on there, and it's body cam footage, hence the name of the film. And it's some cops. There's 4 cops.
So it's Danny.
Yeah.
It's the cop who was killed at the start.
Yeah.
And it's this bold guy who we met at the wake earlier.
Yeah, like
he's been in the background.
Yeah, he's an old cop. He's been around for a long time.
Officer Pender.
Okay.
Yeah. And one other. There's 4 cops.
Another cop, yeah. And they are shouting at a kid who's in the distance, trying to get him to stop. They want to talk to him.
He's running.
Yeah. So they're trying to stop him.
It's absolutely pissing it down.
Yeah. It's always raining. It's always dark. It's always raining in this film. I think there's one scene in the daytime, and that's at that wake. He doesn't respond, this kid who they're chasing down, so they shoot him.
Yeah, Pender shoots him.
Pender shoots him because he's running away from them.
Yeah.
They go to he's now on the floor. He's not dead, but he's not in a good way. They head over to him. They roll him over. They find out that it is just a kid. And then one of them realised that he's deaf.
Yeah.
Don't know how, but they realise. They go through his stuff, so maybe he's got something in his back that acknowledges.
Plus, he's moaning, isn't he? He's
exactly.
like, he can't talk. He can't. Yeah. Can't talk properly.
So the cops start freaking out at this point. They've just shot a deaf kid in the street.
Yeah.
They're not happy.
Danny's like, we got to call an ambulance.
Yeah. This is like first case.
Yeah. And the others just want to walk away.
Yeah. The others kind of like gather around into a circle to figure out what they can do. And Pender comes over to Danny. He's like, can I trust you? Have you got my back? Because I've just shot this 14-year-old deaf kid.
No one needs to know about it.
No one needs to know about it, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, we can't just leave him here alive. So Kesper gets a plastic bag and... No, not Kesper, Pender.
Yep.
Gets a plastic bag and puts it over his head and kills him.
Sure.
It's all on this footage that Renee's now watching.
Which explains the plastic bag from earlier on.
It does indeed. It's very heavy, that scene.
Yeah.
Very like dark and deep. It was a tough watch, that scene. I'm not going to lie. It was hard to watch. It was
well done.
Yeah.
This is where I struggle with this movie because it felt like it was too good for this movie.
Yes, I'd agree with that. It's completely different to the tone to the rest of the movie.
And that's why I'm not sure if this works as a horror.
No.
I don't know if the social commentary, the balance between that and the horror was not successfully balanced.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. We'll get to that at the end.
Yeah.
That is a fair point. We cut back to Renee. She's crying in the car now because she knows exactly what's happened now. She calls Kesper again, and she's like, I need to show you what I have. And she then goes back to this old abandoned factory to try and find Tanisha.
Yeah, she wants to talk to her still.
Yeah. And Casper pulls up outside. He arrives. He's obviously told her to meet him there. And she says they go on the roof randomly. I don't really understand why. They go up onto the roof, and she says, "Look," he says to her, "Tell me what you have."
Yeah.
So she does, and he then pulls his gun on her.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And also Penda's with him. He's brought Penda with him to this meeting. So Casper's obviously complicit. He knows what's happened here.
So yeah, so he was not at the scene, but he knows about it, and he is
Because she's
actively covering it up.
She says to him, "Have you seen this footage?" And he says, "I don't need to have seen it." He hasn't seen it. He doesn't need to, but he knows what happens, and he knows he's going to help his cop mates cover it up. So they're having this freeway standoff. They're all screaming at each other and arguing, and then Penda just out of nowhere just shoots her.
Yeah,
shoots Renee completely out of nowhere. I was like, it made me jump because I wasn't expecting.
Shoots her in the chest though.
Yeah, he does shoot her
because he's like, it's a warning.
Yeah, because she's got a
vest on. Yeah, she's fully geared up.
Yeah,
and he says, "Next one's going to be in your head."
Yeah, and then the lights start flickering, and we know now from the history of this film that that's not a good sign. And then Tanisha's there.
Yeah,
she says her first words to this film. She looks at Penda and she says, "You killed my son." And then Casper just knocks her out.
Yeah,
literally takes her down.
Pistol
whips her.
I've just put, "Here's Mr. Ghost."
Yeah, and then the ghost is behind him, right behind Casper. Penda sees this straight away, and he's like, "Fuck! What the fuck is that?" And he's kind of freaking out. And Casper turns around, and then suddenly he gets pulled out of shot.
Yeah,
like
he gets like mashed up onto the ceiling.
Yeah, but the first pullback is really good because he kind of disappears into the darkness.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I quite like when that happens in horror films because it is really freaky.
It is cool.
It happens a lot in horror films. It's a trope. It happens a lot, but it is a cool little effect. Then, like you say, he's all of a sudden he's on the ceiling and he's getting smashed up. It's like Vecna's got him all of a sudden. His arms are breaking and everything. And then he hits the deck and he's dead. Renee, in all of this kerfuffle, Renee and Tanisha have managed to leave, get out of the room.
Yeah.
The other cop, Penda, he flees as well.
Yeah, the ghost is after him next.
Yeah, so he's kind of getting stalked around the place. You can see the ghost appearing and disappearing around him. And then he turns a corner and Renee's standing there looking at him and she shoots him in the arm.
Yes.
And then she says to him, "The next one will be in your head," which I liked.
Yeah, it was cool.
And then all of a sudden the ghost grabs him around the throat and pulls his tongue out.
Yes.
Through his throat.
Yeah.
There's this whole grizzly bit of grizzle comes out.
About that.
Yeah, he pulls his tongue out. And then lifts him up, raises him up, throws him up into the ceiling, and then he lands back first over a pipe, kind of bent double. And then Renee starts freaking out because she's the only cop left now. She was on these pictures. This ghost clearly got it in for her. List. But Tanisha says to her, "Don't worry, he won't come after you whilst you're with me."
No, he says he knows you're with me.
Yeah, something along those lines. Then the crime scene thing happens again.
I just thought, how are they going to explain this in the report?
Yeah, I don't know how you explain what's happened here. Really don't. There's 2 mangled cops upstairs and 2 women downstairs. But the crime scene thing appears again. There's loads of ambulances, loads of cop cars, loads of flashing blue and red lights. Everyone gets put in. Everyone's in either an ambulance or a hearse.
Yes.
And then Renee's sitting in the back of an ambulance with like a blanket over her. Films like this always end this way. Yes. And she looks
Tanisha's
over.
on like the next car ambulance over
with a blanket over her. And then she looks over and both their kids are standing next to each other.
Yeah.
So the deaf 14-year-old and Renee's kid is kind of standing next to each other and looking back at her. And then they just turn and walk away together.
Yeah, they both see them. The ladies both see the kids. They ladies smile at each other and
the kids walk away.
Yeah.
And we cut away. And then we cut forward in time a little bit, I believe, because
it's a news report.
It's a news report, and it's unnecessary, I think.
Yeah, because it turns out Sergeant Casper's still alive.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck he survived that.
No.
He was being mangled all over the place.
Which is also really against this whole ghost thing, because he was killing everyone.
He was killed everyone except for...
So why would he leave him alive?
I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make any sense. This whole bit is not needed in this film. So it turns out Casper survived. He's facing trial. He's been found guilty. This is all from the news report of corruption in the police force.
Corruption, conspiracy.
It turns out Renee has brought down the whole department.
Yeah,
she's managed to prove this has happened.
This woman is now a hero.
Yeah, and she gets commended for that. And then the film ends
because the film realised, oh crap, if we kill him, where's the evidence going to come from? To
yeah, I think this film could have ended
Massive.
when those two kids walked away.
Yeah.
You don't need any of this. And then it ends there. So that maybe could have been a post-credit scene or something. I don't know. It felt unnecessary. Overall then, Nick, what did you think of Body Count?
I thought it was a really messy film with some really good sequences in it.
Yes, I'd agree with that. I think that's a really good way of putting it. It's a mess. It doesn't know what it is.
At times I thought, I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah.
For minutes at a time.
I think overall I did enjoy it.
And then I came away thinking, oh, this is trying to do too much.
It is. There's too many ideas here.
It's like, and the good scenes weren't necessarily all the horror scenes. Like you say, the flashback of when Tanisha's son is killed.
Yeah.
Is properly dramatic and tragic.
It really is.
And
It's
really
horrible.
well done. And I did finish that portion of this movie and think, well, that was too good for the rest of this movie.
Yeah. There's all sorts going on in there. There's procedural crime dramas. There is a cop drama at the same time. There's a horror film going on at the same time. There's a social commentary on the blacks versus the cops.
Yeah.
There's all sorts going on in this film, and it's too much. There's too much going on.
And it can't
And it
balance
doesn't do any of them well.
Yeah.
It does them all mediocre and doesn't do any of them well. Whereas if you focus on one area, this is a straight up horror film. It's a good idea for a horror film. This is a ghost going after the cops that killed him. Fine. I'm on board with that. But don't make it a social commentary on black politics at the same time. It doesn't need all of that. There's too much going on.
It almost does a disservice to those causes.
Yeah.
By it being a subplot.
Yeah, by half-arsing it. When there's plenty of films out there that don't, and it tried to be too many things.
Yeah.
Putting that idea into a horror film is good. It works. But it's just too much of it.
Yeah. I also...
You need another hour to be able to tell that story properly.
I think this sounds way over ambitious, but I think you could do an epic horror social movie.
Yeah, it could be.
But it needs another hour. And I don't know who would ever finance that.
Nobody's financing a 2.5 hour horror film, but it's a good idea for a story, but you can never do it well in the time that you've got.
Yeah.
You're basically telling two stories.
But that sort of force taking out corrupt cops.
Yeah.
There's something there that's a good idea.
Definitely. I thought that the horror scenes were good. They are quite spooky.
You know,
the scene in the supermarket is brilliant.
A ghost that is on the side of good, because it's defending these communities that are, need help or are being abused by the very power that is supposed to be protecting them.
Yeah.
There's that is a great idea.
Yeah, it is a great idea. There's some good ideas in this film that is just too ambitious.
Yeah.
The horror scenes are good though. The scene in the supermarket is really good.
It's
spooky.
That sequence is great.
It's great. The finale scene in the mill is okay. It's not long enough. The tension doesn't have time to build in that. It just happens too quickly.
I also don't think Mary J. Blige has got this performance in her.
I think you're right.
She's flat.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
She's fine.
But she's nothing more than fine.
But it's flat.
Yeah.
She's not. I don't think she got the range.
When she's on screen on her own, she's okay. But when she's exposed to other actors
and has to do acting with other people,
that's where they outshine. The guy who plays Danny is Nat Wolff. Is much better.
Yeah,
and he plays that part quite well. And David Zayas is going to act anybody off a screen. But yeah, I think you're right. She just doesn't seem to quite hit that mark.
I don't think the supporting cast is great either. So, like the other cops, Pender, he's not great.
No.
And the guy was taken at the start. He's in it. Obviously, they weren't memorable either.
No, the woman who played Tanisha as well. She doesn't have a lot to do. She's just there to look creepy.
She's wasted,
but she's completely wasted. And she's maybe this is a compliment hidden in an insult. But she's maybe too pretty for that part. She doesn't look like a rundown old woman who's being haunted by a son of a ghost. Son of a ghost? Ghost of a son.
You son of a ghost.
Son of a ghost. The casting's not quite right. I thought Nat Wolff was really good, and I thought David Zayas was really good. But David Zayas is playing a sergeant and a cop. A cop sergeant is basically playing. It's what Batista did next after Dexter.
Yeah,
it's the same role. But no, it just doesn't quite hit all its marks, I don't think. It's a shame. Because it is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, so because of all that, I'm still not quite sure
I'm with you.
where I am on it. I wanted to really like it.
What's the best thing about it?
It's that sequence in the supermarket.
Yeah,
It's a proper good horror movie sequence.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good horror scene.
Look, there's two standout sequences. It's that, and it's the flashback of the kid being murdered.
Yeah, but they don't feel like the same film.
No,
you watch
not
those
at
two
all.
scenes in isolation.
Yeah,
it's like watching two completely different films.
Yeah.
So what would you change? I think you're recasting Mary J. Blige. I think you have to do that. And then pick an angle.
Yeah.
If you go be a horror film or be a social political commentary, you can't be both. I don't think. Not with this much story to tell.
Not at this level.
Yeah, I think it can be done. I think this is just trying to be too much.
It's
as I said.
ambitious for this scale, isn't it? For this scale of movie, it's
too much.
But having said that, I mean, it's kind of admirable that they've gone for it.
Yeah, it's not a bad film. We're making it sound like a bad film. It's not a bad film.
Well,
it's a good story.
We'll come to that
done.
when we get to the stream table,
which we're at.
Because
do you want to talk stream table?
Well, yeah, because despite all those issues, I was kind of looking at this yesterday and thinking, I don't know if I liked this movie, but I kind of feel like it might be the second best movie I've seen this season.
Should we go through the stream table from the bottom? So currently at 9th, we've got Set Up. At 8th, we've got 8 Remains, which I'm happy with the uniformity of that. 7th is Target. 6 is Comes a Bright Day. 5 is The Land of Steady Habits. 4 is The Parts You Lose. 3 is All at Sea. 2 is last week's movie Pentagram. And currently number 1 is Ross Cook's Wildcard, Summit of the Gods. So are you thinking...
It's second or third, easily.
It's better than All at Sea.
Yeah.
Which we've just literally just slagged it off the last hour. But it is better. It is the third best film we've seen this season. It isn't as good as Pentagram. I don't think.
I think it's a similar argument to when I was talking about The Parts You Lose last week.
Yeah.
But if this could have just stuck a bit more of its... If this was just a bit more disciplined, I think it's the second best movie we've seen.
Yeah.
Because it is so messy, I don't think I can quite put it past Pentagram.
What we talked, the reason Pentagram got there last week is because it was so tight. It knew what it was doing and it stuck to its own rules. This film This film doesn't do any of those things. Yeah. It isn't tight. It can't stick to its own rules. Yeah. It doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
There's no way that it's a better film than Pentagram. But it is a better film than All at Sea because
I think it's closer than that. For me.
It is close, don't get me wrong. But I think for those reasons, Pentagram has to stick it at number 2. And I think Body Cam goes at number 3.
No, I don't disagree with you. I think for me, it's very close because The Parts You Lose and All at Sea are messy because it feels like someone got bored halfway through them.
Yeah.
This is messy because it's just...
trying to do too much.
Yeah, it's aiming higher than it's got the capability to hit, I think.
I think you're right.
But yeah, third best movie. Yeah, we've seen this season.
Madness. 2 and a 3 in 2 weeks.
You know, which feels crazy because I'm not sure if I really liked it. I really liked parts of it.
Yeah.
And that's where I have my final word on it.
Yeah, same. It can't go any higher than where it is, I don't think. So that just leaves us to pick next week's film.
Indeed.
Robin's got the week off.
Oh, hello.
Sam Mulholland has played his wild card.
Oh, interesting.
He's going after Ross. Sam usually goes first, so it's interesting that he's not gone first.
Okay, fine.
So he's picked a film for us to watch. He had a few options, but I'd seen everything he'd sent to me. He kept sending me films. I was like, I've seen it. Sorry, mate. I've seen it. But he has picked one that is called The Trip.
Okay.
Ever heard of The Trip?
No, I don't think so. It's not that Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon TV show.
It's not, no. It's last year. It's 2021.
Oh,
so it's new.
A little baby movie.
It's also not in the English language.
Okay.
It is based in Norway.
Okay.
And it is Norwegian and Swedish.
Lovely.
So there are Nords and Swedes in this film. It's 15. It runs for nearly 2 hours, 1:53.
Okay.
Where we're at. Do you want to know the synopsis?
Yes, please.
It is described on here as an action comedy horror thriller.
Lovely.
That's what we like. A dysfunctional couple head to a remote cabin to reconnect, but each has intentions to kill the other. Before they can carry out their plans, unexpected visitors arrive and they face a greater danger.
Oh.
Want who's in it?
Yes, please.
Noomi Rapace.
Okay. She's usually good.
Yep, we've seen her before on the show.
Yes. What happened to Monday?
What happened to Monday?
She was in.
It's really high up.
That was a
season.
fun movie.
It was a very fun movie. Loads of other Nords and Swedes are in this film. So yeah, it's currently rated on IMDb at 6.9.
Oh wow!
So Sam's going for it. Sam wants to retain his title of the number one wildcarder. So yeah, we're going to watch that.
Yeah. Why
Excited?
has Sam got a wild card?
Because he's a Patreon.
Yeah.
All of our Patreons get a wild card if they're at the top level.
Yeah.
And we'd get them as well. So every season, sometimes a wild card is played and people pick the film. They give Robin the week off.
Yep.
And they pick the film that we're going to watch next week, which Sam has just done. Ross did it earlier in the season with Summit of the Gods. He's currently at the top of the stream. So Sam's got some work to do with the trip. And then that just leaves me, you, and Jordan Shenton to play ours to see if we can knock whoever's going to be number one.
Indeed.
It's exciting times. I love the wildcard race. It's fun. So that gives us a lot of fun to talk about. So yeah, go out and watch the trip. And in the meantime, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd at BOTS_podcast. If you want to drop us an email, our email address is bottomofthestream@gmail.com. And our website is bottomofthestream.com. On the website, you'll find every episode we've ever recorded, all 6 season stream tables, loads of other cool stuff. And you can even have some merch if you want to buy a Bottom of the Stream
paddling pool.
Oh, that'd be nice right now.
Yeah.
It's boiling in here. My back's like a paddling pool right now.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, good. Do that. And then check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/bottom of the stream. For a couple of quid every month, you will get early access to the movie show episodes. You will get bonus episodes. You will get all sorts of cool stuff. Nick writes a newsletter every month. You get a wild card, like we've just mentioned. If you come in at the top level, you'll get that. And it really helps us out because we need some new mic stands. Because you keep hearing them in these episodes. After you've done all that, head over to Discord. Discord link will be in the show notes. On there, we just have a lot of fun. There's loads of cool people in there to chat to. There's loads of nice movie fans. We do watch-alongs. We play games. We've got a watch-along planned for next Sunday.
Yeah, we have.
We're going to watch Robert 2 because we've watched Robert. We liked it, so we're going to watch another one.
Yeah, so if you want to join in time for that, drop into the Discord and come and say hi.
Seriously, you don't need to have seen Robert to watch Robert 2. I don't think we can give you a synopsis in 2 minutes, which we'll probably do before we start the watch-along anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, come along and join us in there. The Discord link will be in the bottom of the show notes.
If you can spare a few minutes, please leave us a review or a rating anywhere you can review or rate podcasts. That could be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Podchaser, iHeartRadio, Pandora, anywhere that you're finding us. Just give us a shout, give us a review, give us a rating. It really helps spread the news, spread the word about our little show.
It really, really does. It's a lot of fun.
And come and talk to us.
Come and talk to us
in Discord.
Join us in the Discord, come and talk to us, and then go out and watch The Trip, and we'll come back on Monday for The Wave, and next Thursday to talk about The Trip.
Cheers!
Bye!